the post office stopping payments to its pension fund in an effort to stop running out of cash. They're getting crushed.
All right, so will the post office be the next big bailout? You're watching CNBC, first in business worldwide. All right, the post office announcing it's suspending contributions to its employee pension fund, that an effort to save money. CNBC's Eamon Javers joins us with a look at what it means for the U.S. Post Office, the government, and you, the taxpayer. Hello, Eamon.
Hey, Larry. Well, after the U.S. Post Office posted an $8.5 billion loss last year, and on top of yesterday's news, I can tell you I'm picking up on a lot of talk here in Washington that the Post Office might be America's next great bailout. Take a look at what the Post Office says that it's done so far in order to cut costs, and you get a sense of where we're going here. They said they've reduced their size by 110,000 career positions over the last 4 years. They've saved $11 billion in costs over that same time frame, and they're committed to cut another $16 billion over the next several years. But critics of the Post Office say that it hasn't been managing its money effectively, and Inspector General reports out earlier this month say that the Post Office has leased 1,000 plus properties from current or former employees, saying that could be a conflict of interest. And they say that the Post Office wastes more than $50 million a year on a fuel program, and it has cut costs, but it could save $143 million per year more if it takes cost-cutting measures. So, Larry, a lot of controversy here over a $1 billion problem over at the Post Office.
All right, Eamon.
Eamon Javers, thanks so much. So will the post office be the next big bailout after we bailed out Wall Street and the automakers? Are they next? Joining us now is Art Sackler, coordinator for the Coalition for the 21st Century Postal Service, and also George Jarkesy, manager of John Thomas Bridge and Opportunity Fund and the chairman of the National Eagles and Angels Association. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. George, let me start with you. Could the post office be run a lot more efficiently right now?
Yes, the post office could be run significantly more efficiently. It has many inefficiencies, and I think that if you look at, for example, the labor, their all-in labor cost per employee, they have 570,000 employees. Their all-in labor cost is $100,000 per employee. Given around, that's about a 60% higher than the rest of the nation costs to just have an employee. So $100,000 per employee, 570,000 employees. It's quite a bit.
All right, the bottom line here, according to reports, last year, fiscal 2010, the post office lost $8.5 billion. They are projected to lose $42 billion in the next 5 years. To coin a phrase, that is unsustainable. Should we sell it? Should we privatize it?
Well, first of all, the Postal Service, Larry, is hanging by a thread, and so are 8 million private sector jobs that depend upon it. Congress still has time to make some bold and effective reforms, but that time is rapidly running out. Look, we need
like what? What reform would they make that would make the post office profitable? Why is it up to Congress to do that?
Well, first of all, the Postal Service is supposed to function like a private enterprise now. And a major reason why it can't is because of a number of restrictions that Congress has put upon the Postal Service. Most notably, unlike virtually any other public or private sector entity, it's required to pre-fund its retiree health benefits premiums to the tune of about $5.5 billion a year. If it didn't have to do that, if it just stayed on the pay-as-you-go kind of approach that virtually everybody else does, the Postal Service would be marginally in the black over the last 4 years.
Well, but George, you know, let's see, they've raised the postage rates by 13% in the last, 5 years?
Yeah, that's right.
That's twice what the CPI is. The demand is down. It's snail mail versus email. I don't see how this thing gets resolved unless there's a massive bailout. What are the options in your view?
Here's my thinking on how they get this done. What you've got to do here is you've got to hold it up long enough to privatize it. They already filed a 10Q, they already filed 10K, they already look like a public company, you know, and here's what they've got to do. And the UPS was up 7% sales revenues were last year. FedEx was up 12%. The reason they were up is they have international exposure that the U.S. Postal Service doesn't have. So the U.S. Postal Service cannot compete when you have a weak U.S. economy. So they're only here in the U.S. and they are suffering from a weak U.S. economy, while FedEx FedEx and UPS are enjoying the international expansion.
Isn't it just, Art, let me ask you, isn't it just that their costs are too high? Aren't they just paying labor too much?
Well, yeah, no, labor costs are over almost a little under 70% of their revenues, and that is very high. I told you, labor percents are over 60% what the average labor rate is in the country. So the labor rates are very high and not competitive.
Yeah, you want to respond to that?
Look, Melissa, their costs are too high. They're overbuilt. The Postal Service right now is overbuilt by a factor of nearly 2 for the amount of mail that it has. So it's overstaffed. It has too many facilities. In fact, there are more post offices than there are outlets for Walmart, McDonald's, and Starbucks combined.
Okay.
So it's got to be slimmed down.
But Larry,
it will be our next big bailout. Sorry, gentlemen, we got to leave it there. We'll continue this discussion another time, I'm sure.
I'll only say I needed a rush passport about a year ago, and the post office did a great job. I'm sorry they're getting killed.
It's a valuable business. It's just got to be run differently. They've got good stuff.
It could be. I don't know.